Hi guys, welcome back to Ask Ornstein. This week I'm joined by The Athletic's Liverpool correspondent James Pearce and analytics expert Tom Worville to discuss which strikers the club might target in the summer. The Athletic is currently running a special price for new subscribers of less than £1 or $1 a week for the first 6 months. That's 40% off an annual subscription. Just head to theathletic.com/Ask Ornstein. That's theathletic.com/Ask Ornstein. Before we get started, I just wanted to ask if you think Liverpool will finish in the top 4 this season. Let me know in the comments section below. James, Tom, thanks very much for joining us, and let's get stuck in straight away. It's pretty clear to everybody that Liverpool have struggled in a number of areas this season for a number of different reasons. But we're going to hone in on one of them this week, and that is the striker position, because it's received far less sort of attention than the centre-back position, which we've discussed on this very video before. Now we're going to throw it forward to what they might do in the summer in terms of a centre-forward. But first, we need to drill down on the problem itself. And James, you have written specifically on Roberto Firmino. Now, you'll point out, I'm sure, that this is not sort of digging him. As your piece explains, he has set incredibly high standards for himself in recent years. He has been key, and he is really classified as a Liverpool legend, but it has not been going well for him. And at a club like Liverpool, that's not really acceptable going forward.
No, I think he's been misfiring, and it's been an issue for some time. And of course, when other elements of the team aren't exactly sparkling, it brings more attention on it. And from the high of 27 goals in 2017-18 down to 16, down to 12, down to 6, there's a pattern there that can't be denied. And that the argument with Roberto Firmino has always been he is so much more than a goal scorer. Jurgen Klopp talks about him in the engine of this Liverpool team, but what else you get from Firmino has dropped off as well in terms of how effective he is in matches, and that's why there is a spotlight on him. It's not a case of scapegoating him. It's just that he's a player who I think has probably now gone past his peak, and people are quite rightly saying about whether an upgrade is required.
Tom, give us the numbers. It seems to have been a steady decline in terms of numerical output, but there have been moments where he's still shown how important he is to Liverpool as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If we look at the quality of chances he's getting in terms of expected goals, it's remained fairly constant season on season. The issue is his finishing. He's getting into those great positions, but he's not quite scoring them. He scored 6 goals from around 10 XG this year, which is, that's similar to Neil Maupay, to Kevin De Bruyne, in fact, as well. So he's not having the best season in front of goal. And creatively, he's creating fewer and fewer chances for his teammates as well, which as a combined package means that you're getting less out of Firmino than you have done in seasons past.
James, well, your piece looked at Firmino in particular, but it didn't look at who might come in if Liverpool are to recruit. We're going to come on to what the data points towards in a minute, but I'd like you to give the people watching this a bit of insight from people you speak to around Liverpool and in the game as to who that might be. We hear about the big names. There have been huge reports around Kylian Mbappe. Everybody's talking about Erling Haaland, and a number of other situations when you come to Liverpool as well that are maybe not quite so high profile. And we will go on later to speak about the finances. But without holding you to this, are there any names that you think are perhaps realistic for Liverpool?
I do think Jonathan David is an interesting one in the fact that we know that he was on the 3-man shortlist that Liverpool had drawn up for an attacker last summer, when ultimately they decided to pursue the deal for Diogo Jota. Obviously, Sarr at Watford was the other one. There is always a lot of noise around Mbappe and Haaland, because they're both, people say, are Liverpool interested? But of course they're interested. Who in their right mind wouldn't be interested in a striker of that caliber? But the major issue for Liverpool would be trying to make one of those kind of deals work financially. And I think it's always been the case, and I think this still stands, that the only way that Liverpool would be in the market for someone of that kind of caliber that would command those kind of figures would be if one of the current front three was pushing for a move and there was an eye-watering offer on the table that they feel as if could be reinvested elsewhere. And at the moment, that isn't on the table.
Tom, you've done a very detailed piece on this specific situation off the back of what James wrote, but you've actually gone into more names.
Yeah, so the way I approached it was the fact that Liverpool either need a number 9, a true number 9, because without Origi in the squad, they completely lack one, or a false 9 or a player in the similar mould to Firmino. So there's kind of two shortlists there. Looking at the false 9s, you had Amine Gouiri, who plays for Nice, who's a really young option, very similar statistically to Firmino in the way that he looks to do very similar things when he's on the ball. He closes down a lot, he links play really well, he retains the ball really, really well, and he's young. He's 21 years old, and this is his first season in playing in the top 5 European leagues. That's similar again to Jonathan David, who's one that, looking at the data, again, is a very similar player to Firmino. Despite this being his first season at Lille, he scored 7 goals in the league, started a bit slowly, but it's coming to his own in recent weeks. Lille, at the time of recording, are top of the table in France. So again, he's a really good option, someone who is a bit raw, unproven at this level, but if Jurgen Klopp wants a like-for-like, he's a perfect option. And then on the flip side is a kind of true number 9. I mean, you can't escape Haaland, really. There's no player in Europe who scored quite like him at the age that he has. And there's a recent piece with James Horcastle where he was showing the quality that Mbappe has and the goal scoring numbers he's put up at a young age. And Haaland surpasses that to a very notable extent. And I noted in the piece that if you want to go for Haaland and you really want to rebuild this squad, then he is kind of that player that you can build a new front three around. Another couple of options there are Andre Silva, Eintracht Frankfurt, who's a Portuguese international, likely to start for Portugal at the Euros this summer. He's been really, really solid for Frankfurt in the last couple of seasons and is something of a Haaland light. He's not got the goal-scoring prowess of him, but they do very similar things on the ball. And lastly, there's Darwin Nunez, who's a Uruguayan international, plays for Benfica, has been getting a bit of stick back in Portugal about his performances. But if you look at the underlying stuff, the fancy stats, he's playing really well. The goals will come. And he's the sort of player where Liverpool's recruitment department are probably smart and switched on to the fact that they could get a decent deal potentially when his stock is so low as it is now.
And before people turn around watching this and say they're going to go for somebody that hasn't been pointed out there, well, I would point out that Tom, ahead of the signings of Kostas Tsimikas and Ozan Kabak, had actually flagged them up. And so please go and read his full piece and pay attention to what he's saying, because it could be one of them. Can you explain to us how they will be approaching this in terms of those big names? Are they achievable? I would imagine, Liverpool could go to you if they found someone perfect for them, your 70, 80 millions. I'm kind of guessing there, so feel free to correct me. But when we're talking about Haaland for this summer, Dortmund, without a release clause, which comes into effect in 2022, that's going to be enormous money. The same you would imagine with Mbappe. But this is a very different market. It's a COVID-affected market. James, tell us what sort of finances are available and your read on the whole recruitment situation at Liverpool.
Yeah, well, I think anyone in any doubt about the financial situation only has to look at the events of January, where Liverpool held off for so long, even though the need for defensive reinforcements was absolutely acute. And then when they did bite the bullet, when they did go and do business, they ended up only shelling out £500,000 to sign Ben Davies from Preston. A loan with an option to buy for Kabak. So it was very minimal spend. Yeah, we know the numbers just keep on climbing for a club like Liverpool, where the business model isn't like Man City, it's not like Chelsea. Everything, FSG don't take money out the club, but nor do they put any money in themselves. So it's all about how much you can generate that then can be reinvested, and that has hurt Liverpool, and it will continue to hurt them this summer with the fact that we're still not going to get fans back into Anfield realistically until the start of next season. So there's that element to it. And I think the other element which is important to stress is for all the great business Liverpool have done under Michael Edwards and Jurgen Klopp, a lot of it has been funded by selling very, very well as well. And when you look at some of the fees that they've banked for the likes of Solanke and Jordan Ibe and Brad Smith and Benteke and Sacco and players like this. And I'm just not sure that Liverpool are going to be able to generate that kind of numbers this summer. You think of, obviously the Coutinho money paid for Van Dijk and paid for Alisson. But yeah, I mean, without doubt, the single biggest thing for Liverpool financially in terms of this summer is whether they have got Champions League football, because without being in the Champions League, that will have a huge effect on what Klopp can do in the market.
I'll just finish with a very quick one to both of you. Are Liverpool going to break up the big three up front or add to it, as James kind of touched upon earlier? And is there one that you're veering towards at this point? I know we've touched upon both of those subjects so far, but in summary, and I'll start with you, Tom.
Yeah, it feels like FSG and specifically, Michael Edwards, Klopp and the rest of the transfer committee are always one step ahead of the game. And it feels like they always look to make a decision that is going to impact the club positively in a 2 to 3 year window into the future. They play the long game. They're not playing the short game, really. And for that reason, I kind of do wonder if they look to sell off one of Mane and Salah to regenerate this side for the next few seasons, go to challenge again next year, but mean that Liverpool can stay competitive for a long time.
James?
Yeah, I think what we'll see is a gradual evolution rather than drastic changes. I think I think we've seen that to a degree already with Jota coming in, and that will continue to happen. I think Firmino's certainly the most vulnerable of that kind of established front three. So yeah, Liverpool desperately need to go and get another elite attacking option this summer. I still think Mo Salah and Sadio Mane have got a huge amount to offer, but that's the big challenge for Klopp, and I think it's going to be fascinating to see how he deals with it, because he's never really had that in his career before, having to phase out players who have given him so much and achieved so much. It's that ruthless streak that's going to be required to be able to say, no, now is the time. This player is on a downward curve. He needs to be upgraded. And certainly Liverpool's striking department is in need of an upgrade this summer, even if it's just an improvement on Origi.
I think it's going to be really fascinating and perhaps the truest test of Liverpool's recruitment department, because the one position we're talking about here that they need to upgrade in the most is the same area that some of their key rivals need to do the same in. The likes of Manchester City, Chelsea, Real Madrid, even Manchester United. That's a decision they're mulling over at the moment. Is it going to be a centre-back or a striker as the priority? Maybe both. So Liverpool are going to go into shark-infested waters for those players. And it wouldn't be a surprise to me if they, history would suggest that they actually pluck someone out who proves to be a really clever signing and helps propel Liverpool forward once again. The way somebody like Kylian Mbappe is talking, that would be an incredible prospect for Liverpool. But I do think we have to be very realistic about the finances. Liverpool, I'm sure, will be crunching the numbers and the various scenarios now, and we won't get a clear picture, I'm sure, like with many other clubs and deals, for a little while yet, because there is so much still to play for in this season. Thanks for watching, everyone. Head over to The Athletic for much more on this very subject. Plus, you can hear James on our weekly Liverpool podcast, The Red Agenda. You can also catch Tom alongside Michael Cox on our Tactics pod, Zonal Marking.